Hello, I'm Graham and I hope everyone's having a great day and welcome to this video. Now in today's video we're going to look at some of the features of the Panasonic Lumix FZ80 or 82 camera that I discovered when I was writing the user's guide, and I thought these might be of interest to you also. Now you're probably aware in the autofocus mode you can use the touchscreen to position the focus point just exactly where you want it, so that's a quick and easy method of being able to set the focus point. You can even use this with the EVF, so if you've got the camera up to your eye then you can still use the touchscreen with your thumb to position the focus exactly where you want, so you've got the best of both worlds. Now the first thing I want to look at today is manual focus. Now manual focus is invoked by using the back control button here, which is marked AF macro and manual focus. So if we push that in, you can see we can cycle between the three operations of autofocus, the autofocus macro and manual focus. So once you've got manual focus set there, press the menu set button, and the clue to the next operation is given by that just 2 seconds worth of information there with the left hand navigation button. If you miss that, then that was the key to being able to set manual focus. Miss it and you probably don't know how to invoke manual focus. So it started by pressing the left hand navigation button, which brings up the manual focus slide and the enlarge view. Now you can set the area that you want to view for your manual focus so you can get the critical focus by pressing the down arrow key, and that allows you to position the focus area that you want to check for focus exactly where you need it. So we're going to select this character in the middle. Now you can actually set the size of that area. You can set it to the smallest area if you want, move it to the position you need either using the left hand and right hand navigation buttons, or you can use your touch screen. When you've done that, press set, and then that gives you the enlarge view. When you're in the enlarge view, you can either use the sliders on the side of the screen here, so if you want to go to closer you move to the bottom, further away you go to the top, so you can use those to change the focus point. And better if you use your finger, it's a capacitive screen, so you can actually see the fact that we're changing the focus point. And there are two speeds, so you've got 1 speed and 2 speeds, but I prefer to use the left and right navigation button, so I can cycle through the focus point, just slightly through it, and then just tapping on the right hand button to take me to the focus point. When I'm happy I've got the focus where exactly I need it, just press menu set, and that takes you back to the screen ready to capture that image. So if you can capture that image, that shot should be exactly in focus. Now another thing you can do is if you're wildly out of focus, so let's first of all set this wildly out of focus, so take it all the way to infinity, come back to the shooting screen. You've got an area here which is the autofocus touchscreen, so you can actually use this as a one-touch focus to bring the area you've got under your cursor to be in focus. So if I just press the AF button there, you can see the camera is automatically focused, and if we press the left hand navigation button again, you've got the enlarge view and you can see the camera's set focus for us nicely. So you can use that to set your manual focus if you've got a situation where the autofocus is having difficulty in finding the right focus point. Perhaps you're shooting through glass, or you're trying to capture a bird in a tree and there are fine branches in the way. So either use a precise area autofocus or you can use manual focus in those tricky situations. Now there is another focusing aid you can actually use while you're in manual focus, and that's called focus peaking. If you go into the custom setup menu on page 4 of 9, you can see I've got peaking set to on. Now you can actually set the color that you want to show as the highlighted color. So if you've got a subject which is green, obviously you don't want to select a highlight which is green, so you could choose one of the yellow or the blue. So in this instance we're going to select the green area, and we're going to select the detect level as high, so it shows up the changes very quickly. And if we just slightly enlarge the focus area by just pressing the left hand navigation button, you can see here on the belt of this character a little bit of green fuzziness. So if we change the focus point now, you can see that that disappears. When we hit the focus point, you get those green areas showing, and that is showing you we have the focus achieved at that point. So focus peaking is an ideal way of being able to capture your exact focus point. Now, the second thing I want to consider today is digital zoom. Now, digital zoom is always one of those areas that's been highly debated as to whether you should use it or not. And I think this stems back to when cameras were first introduced with only 2 or 3 megapixel sensors. So if you tried to use digital zoom with those, very quickly you started to see blurry images or soft images because of the way the pixel boundaries were met. With these modern cameras with 20 or more megapixels, I don't see a reason why you can't use digital zoom, providing you use it sparingly up to say times 1.5 times zoom equivalents. Well, first of all, digital zoom will only work with the camera set up for a JPEG mode. So if you've got anything set with a RAW format, such as I've got here, RAW and JPEG, you'll find that you can't turn on the digital zoom anyway. So we're going to select first of all the JPEG format. And if we continue to cursor through, you'll find that the digital zoom is on page 6, but still it's disabled. So you can see it's disabled at that point. But that's disabled because of another setting that's not really explained, and that's in the live view mode. And live view mode is in the setup screen on page 2. And by default, the camera is set up with the economy 30 frames per second. You've got to change that to either 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second. Now 30 frames per second is ideal for normal type operations. If you're using sports and you wanted to get a smoother view, then use a 60 frames per second, but 30 frames is okay in my book. So we're going to select 30 frames per second. And now if you come back to the record setup screen, you notice that digital zoom has now been enabled. And we can go through and cursor through and turn it on. So once digital zoom is turned on, it does mean that we can start to use the camera with an expanded digital zoom range. So if you notice when I zoom, the default of 1200 has now gone up to 4800, so we can actually use 4 times digital zoom. But as I stated before, it's better to use this only up to say 2000 or 2400 at the very most, which is a 2 times digital zoom. You can actually still get some really good images. Well, here on screen now you can see an image that I shot at 1200mm. That's the full optical range of the camera. Then I turned on digital zoom and shot the next image with the focal length set to 2000mm. So I've given something like a 0.8 magnification. I would normally use it up to say 1600 or 1800 at the most, and that gives me that 0.5 times digital zoom that I reckon is about the limit that you want to push the camera to. It gives you that extra reach if you want to capture a bird in a tree, if you're a wildlife photographer, or you just want to bring buildings closer if you're on travel or something like that. So it does give you that extra advantage. Possibly iZoom is a better option because of the way that the camera works, but if you just want straightforward digital zoom, then there again, try out digital zoom for your particular needs. Now the third and final thing I want to cover today is the 4K post focus. Now the post focus mode gives you the opportunity to capture a small MP4 video file, and from that you can actually select the frame which is the sharpest in your sequence. You can also use it to combine a range of images to give you deeper depth of field. So for example, on this tabletop shot I've got of these Lego characters, the distance from the first character to the last character is about 18 inches, so the camera can't cover that whole range in one focus operation. If I focus on about a third of the way into the image, which is possibly this character here, if I take that shot, we're at f4.5, which is the sweet spot for the lens. You can see on the screen that the last character is out of focus, so we haven't got enough depth of field between our first and last character to get them all in one shot. I can actually increase the aperture to f8, which is the minimum we will get. Again, we're likely to suffer a bit of image softening through diffraction limited resolution, but you can see on screen that last character is a little bit sharper. But by using post focus and then using focus stacking, we can actually combine the images. So we've got one image which has got the first character in sharpness, another which has got the middle one in, and the final one which has got the last character in sharpness. To enable the post focus, you either use the function 1 button or you can use the drive mode dial. So if you press the drive mode dial down, then select post focus, when you press menu set, you can see we've cropped into the image because you're using the 4K video mode, which gives you about a 1.4 times crop factor anyway. So we've cropped into the image. Take that into account when you're going to be shooting your image itself. And now with the camera setup, it goes into the electronic shutter mode because we're going to be filming in a video mode. You can select the aperture you want and your ISO to give you the right balance for the image exposure. And then when you press the shutter release button, the camera will record all those 49 area points and make a 1 second video file. So once the video has been captured, you're given the option either to manually arrange them or auto arrange them. If you look on the screen now, you can see, because we've got the peaking set, you can see the first character has got the green outline, and that extends all the way through to possibly this character here. So if we let the camera arrange those automatically, we would see we've got a sharp first picture, but the last one is possibly out of focus. So press the menu set button, and it says, do you want to save this image? Select yes, and the camera will now save that one image that we selected from the file. If you want to move further through the file, we can use the left and right hand navigation button, and you can see as I move forwards and backwards, the focus peaking point changes. So now when we're over on the last character, if I press the menu set button, I can save that image. And I could use those two images from that file to combine them myself in an external imaging program like Helicon Soft to give me a full range of images which give me the maximum depth of field. But if I want the camera to do that, we use the auto range or manual range, which is the function 1 button. So when you press function 1, it says, do you want to use your manual range, or the camera will select the range for you. So first of all, we will let the camera select that. So I'll select auto ranging, press menu set, and again it'll ask you, do you want to merge those images into one JPEG file. So it will do that and create it in about 6 or 7 seconds. And now we can look at the image. You use the zoom key so we can zoom in. Let's have a look at the first character on the left hand side. Looks to be in reasonable focus. Let's look at the character over on the right hand side, and you might notice on that character we've got a little bit of a distortion. The lines on the emblem on his coat are a little bit jaggy, and there's a little bit of artifacting around his arm. So the camera hasn't really stacked those together perfectly for us. So let's go back and let us use the manual processing mode. So we'll capture that again. You can actually use the playback mode and use the same video if you wanted to, but it's easier for me to just rerun the video there. So now we've captured that image file, go into function button 1, but this time we'll select range merging, and now we highlight on screen the areas that we want to cover. So I want to cover the first two characters, and I want to cover the last character. So once that's done, press menu set and yes to create that image again. Again, it takes about 6 seconds to create that JPEG image from those files, but I suspect the result is going to be the same as the auto merge. So again, using the zoom key while we're in the playback mode, we can quickly look at the final character. And again, there's a little bit of artifacting on those images. So this character, the vertical band in his shirt is distorted. A little bit better on the final character. There's not as much jagginess on that final image. So we'll have a look at that at full resolution on the screen, and you can see how well it's done it versus the files that I combined using Helicon Soft to combine those images into one JPEG file. So that's the post-focus processing method for you. I explain it in a lot more detail in my new user guide for this camera. It will be available on the Amazon bookstores from about the 15th of April 2019, or you can get it as a PDF download from my store page on my Photoblog site. So I'll put links to that in the video description below if you're interested in getting the user guide that I produced for this camera. So, as usual, thanks very much for watching, and of course if you're a new user, please do click that subscribe button and the bell notification icon so you'll be notified when I upload new videos to my channel. So, as usual, thanks very much for watching, please do take care, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Goodbye for now.